I think what the Lord is trying to tell people is that we are about to see Luna take off, and you need to get it if you're not on that train, okay? And so this is how the dream went. So in the dream, I am driving away from, I was picking up my kids with their dad. I grabbed my kids, I put them in the car, and I see this, we're on a freeway, and I see this big, huge tornado, like 2 or 3 actually, tornadoes out in the distance. And I'm like, they're like, so here I am in my car, there's a tornado over here, and then there's safety over here. So and the freeway goes this way. And so I knew that I had to like quickly get past the tornado to get to safety before it like came and devoured me and like swept me up or whatever. And so the interesting part is that the tornado, the moment I saw the tornado and I realized I needed to get away from it, Luna Classic, this is the first time I ever seen a Luna Classic symbol in my entire life. Okay, guys, I didn't even know what Terra Luna Classic was. And a big Luna Classic symbol went like this in my face. Like, imagine you're watching like a TV show and then there's like this scene, but then they put like this label right in front of the screen and it's like taking up the whole scene. That was what I saw in my dream. And when I woke up, I was like, what was that? Like, I had to go look it up. Like, I knew had to be something financial. I just discerned that. But I looked it up and I found out it was the Terra Luna Classic symbol. And so the Lord was telling me at that time that I needed to pick Terra Luna Classic up because of the storm, that the storm and Luna were tied together, that when the storm was happening, Luna was happening, okay? And that's what the Lord had shown me. And so the next scene goes into this where me and my kids are running to get to the train. I understood that Luna was the first train, and I was running to get to that train, running to get to it, because I didn't have it at the time when I had this dream. And I missed the train. It went by really quick. It was like a bullet train. It went by really fast, and I missed it. I wasn't able to get on. But then I was able to get on the second train. And so when I woke up from this dream, I knew what the Lord was telling me. He was telling me I needed to get Luna, otherwise I was going to miss the first train. And that the second train is Sheba. This is a warning to everybody because the Lord is giving me a specific time, and to the Lord, 1,000 years is a day. I don't know, look up that scripture, but like, God's timing is not our timing. So I'm not saying that it's going to be in 40 to 60 days. It could be. God's done that to me before where he's given me specifics and it's come to pass like that. But I'm also not saying it's going to be 40 to 60 days. What I am saying is that the Lord says there is a countdown happening right now. And he's reminding me of a dream he gave me 2 years ago. The only time he ever does that to me is when it's about to happen. And that I needed to urgently come on here to tell people that if they don't have the provision, if they have not picked up Luna Classic yet, they're going to miss the train.
So guys, that was a very exciting dream, wasn't it? I say it sure was. Now, before we get into it, nothing that you're about to hear in this entire video is to be taken as financial advice. Now that you understand that. So this here video was heavily requested, and we're going to jump right into analyzing our beautiful sister's revelation that Yah had given to her. Real quick. Okay, so first of all, she said that she was on a freeway. So she was on a highway, and she could see multiple tornadoes touching down in the distance. And while she was heading towards safety, she saw the sign of Lunc zoomed up right in front of her face. And this, I believe, was Yah himself that was showing it to her, so that it was, unmistakable that while these tornadoes were touching down, were happening, just like she said it, she mentioned it in the video, Lunc was going to be happening as well. At the time, of course, she didn't know what Lunc was. She had to go and search it out, you see. But in regards to the tornadoes, really quick, I myself have had experiences with these tornadoes, so I know exactly what they are and what they mean. So real quick, in an experience that I had just recently, Yah gave me an experience where I also, in a vision, I saw these tornadoes touching down in the distance. And I believe I had calculated in my mind that I had enough time to go and seek shelter in my old house, which was the house that I had grew up in. And I was wrong, because I stood there, and while I was heading towards my old house for shelter, I watched these tornadoes that I had recently saw touching down in the distance came to my old house. It was around 3 tornadoes, and they had completely demolished it. Nothing was left but rubble. And afterwards, the tornadoes continued and was heading in my direction. The tornadoes then came up towards me, and before they came where I was, they stopped as if they were intelligent, and they were spinning to a they were spinning to a stop, rather. And while they were spinning to a stop, forms could be seen. And it was revealed to me right in front of my eyes that these tornadoes were actually entities. They were literal demons, not normal sized demons. They were giants, several of them. So in essence, these tornadoes, or what was causing the tornadoes, were literal demons, and the tornado itself were made up of demons, which brought to mind that 80s cartoon that they called the Tasmanian Devil. I don't know how many of you guys have recalled that cartoon. You had this Tasmanian creature that every time that it spinned, it literally turned into a tornado. So maybe, I don't know, maybe the producers were onto something. They knew about this thing. So these tornadoes that are going to occur in the world, they represent events that includes, but will most certainly not be limited to, a financial disaster. That's exactly what these tornadoes represent. You see, they're literally caused by demons. You see, and it won't be limited to financial catastrophe, but financial catastrophe is most definitely one of these events that these tornadoes or demons will be causing. And what financial catastrophe do we know of? What financial catastrophe in our space that we're expecting? The crash. So these tornadoes, in essence, also, because it's not the only thing, also represents the Bitcoin crash. So that is in essence basically what she saw as well. The tornadoes represents the crypto crash in general. So while the cryptocurrency crash, which includes a Bitcoin crash, will occur, Lunc will take off. You see, Lunc will pump, Lunc will rise. So that's basically the interpretation which she herself also understood. And that's what Yah was showing to her in this dream very clearly. Lunc, even as I've mentioned before, and as it's been confirmed by so many other people, Lunc is and will be a hedge against the crash that's coming. These tornadoes are crashes. While a lot of these cryptocurrencies will be going down and crashing, Lunc will be rising. So that right there is the clear interpretation for that part. Now, next, she said that she was running as fast as she could to try to catch the train before it would leave the station. And that train represented Lunc. Now, this part, she also said that at the time that she had that specific vision, she didn't have any Lunc. Now, this seems to be a recurring revelation that Yah is giving to a lot of people, which indicates that a lot of people are going to make the same mistake. They're going to end up missing the first train. She said in this experience that she ended up actually missing the first train, and she had to take the second one, which she understood to be Shiba Inu. Now, this wasn't the first time we've heard this, guys. So which means that a lot of people are going to underestimate Lunc, and they're going to get in late. You see, so the warning from the Lord was to get on board while you can. You see, which we're going to pivot into the next revelation, where she heard Yah told her that within 40 to 60 days, there's a countdown on Lunc to take off. Now, let me give my understanding as to what this 40 to 60 days mean. Remember that I said that, this is just my personal interpretation. From the 40th day since she had received the dream up to the 60th day, there is a window. And within that window, it will be when Lunc takes off. At some time during that window is when the train will leave the station. So it's not necessarily from the exact time up to the 40 days. It's not during that window, which is the window that we're in right now. No, the window would begin at the 40th day, which from my calculation, begins somewhere around the middle of May. So the window would be from it begins at the middle of May to the first part of June. That is the window. And I believe that that's where Yah was highlighting to her that Lunc is going to take off from in this revelation. And like I said, this is just my personal understanding. This is what I'm sensing that it means. The window begins from the middle part of May up to the first part of June. Somewhere within that time period is when Lunc is going to suddenly take off. And anyone who does not get in by then, they're going to miss out on these cheap prices for Lunc. Because Lunc has been at this station, which is these cheap prices, these low prices, for months now. You see, but within that window, anyone who doesn't get in by that time period, they're going to miss this opportunity. They're going to miss the train, literally, because going forward after that, Lunc is going to create new local all-time highs. You see, it's going to take out a zero. And if they're going to want to get in, they're going to have to buy in at a higher price, they're going to have to catch it at a next station, because it's getting ready to leave this station, and very quickly. Now, also, another thing that I find to be very interesting is that our sister's revelation here is in alignment with what I've been seeing in the charts and what I've been showing to you guys, even in my recent Lunc video. That 40th day to the 60th day window, which is, like I said, around the middle of May up to the end of June, it aligns perfectly with what I had recently showed you guys on the charts, on the monthly charts in regards to Lunc. I showed you guys that Lunc had been in a falling wedge on the monthly chart for quite some time. And if you look right at the very edge, there was only space for just 1 month that is left. 1 month, and that would be May, for us to be out of that long period of bearish activity, out of that falling wedge. And so after May, after the month of May, all subsequent monthly candles would have been created outside of this falling wedge, which means that we would have been out of, come June, we're out of this falling wedge, is what I'm saying. And that would be very significant. That would indicate that Lunc will then take off at any given moment, guys. And I wouldn't be surprised that in the month of June, Lunc pops off. According to this falling wedge, I would say that June would be like the deadline before Lunc takes off, you see, and pump to higher price levels. That is exactly when we're going to have a price explosion for Lunc. So everything that's on the chart that I've shown you guys is also in alignment with this revelation from our sister, the 40th to the 60th day, you see. So I believe that that makes her revelation even that much more powerful when it's in alignment with even that which is on the charts. Now, she went ahead and finished it with an urgent warning from the Lord for those who are not yet into Lunc, to get on board before this train takes off. Because if you do not, you're going to miss this first train. You're going to have to wait for the Shiba Inu train. And no one knows just how long it will take before that one, pops off. Because as I mentioned before, I've told you that Shiba Inu will first have to crash lower before it takes off. And so this here is very, very important. Lunc is a hedge against a crash. You see, it is an opportunity, you see, to prepare financially for the storm. Remember the revelation that I shared with you guys concerning my family member that was a mason that builds houses. Actually saw him out in the city, and he was begging for food. He was almost unrecognizable. He was scruffy and was looking all dirty. And he hadn't lost his mind. He had just lost everything. And he was begging for food. Now, at the time that Yah gave me this vision, which was just a couple of basically days ago, I couldn't wrap my head around it. But what it was showing me was how serious this famine that is coming will be. You see, a lot of people will lose everything. And so many of you guys out there, the ones that are preparing yourselves right now financially and with cryptocurrency, with these prophetic cryptocurrencies, you will not only secure and preserve yourselves and your families, but perhaps Yah will lead people to you as well. So you have to think of it this way, that you're not only preparing for yourselves, but also for others. Because that vision was very serious. I didn't expect that at all. And thank you. One of you guys also gave me the revelation that you left it in a comment beneath the video that the interpretation could also mean that there will be a crash in the housing market. And I have to thank you because you're correct. That's also one way to interpret that revelation as well. There will most definitely be a very massive crash in the housing markets, even as I've mentioned before, that is also very important as regards the wealth transfer. We need a crash in the housing markets before the wealth transfer so that we'll be able to purchase these houses much cheaper than they currently are. So guys, that is it for this video. The warnings from the Lord is very clear as it regards to Lunc. It is time to get in before the train leaves the station, because whenever it does, you're not going to be able to get it at these low prices ever again. So you guys, please do with what you've heard in this video, deal with the information what you will, position yourselves. I've shared the information. Now the rest is entirely up to you to decide what you're going to do and what steps you're going to take. So that is it. You guys, please take very good care of yourselves. Peace, shalom. Until next time.